It's always good to see you. Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show live. The coast-to-coast host with the most lively poinsettias in all the state of Texas. You guys see all this red? Did you guys put these down here? I just noticed Mercedes Sparks.
I liked it. I told Chelsea I really liked it. And she's like, yeah, I totally did that on purpose. I think she de-Christmasified the other side of the set, and it just worked out.
Oh, that's a Grinch set over there. There's not one single Christmas icon, not even a red flower anywhere.
We had to move it because you did a whole different shoot yesterday.
Well, yes,
a little more evergreen.
Well, a little bit more for Israel. I was talking with an Israel broadcast. You know how they have Hanukkah, if you haven't noticed. They do a little different shtick than the Christians do. But I'm fascinated with what's happening right now because never before have I seen, I believe in the harvest of nations. And what that means is that the behavior and mentality of people reaches a tipping point where either you're going to go one way or the other. And what's happening in the United States, for those of you that are in other countries, you probably are having a similar phenomena, is that the righteous are actually getting more righteous and the evil are getting more evil. And it's as though the deception that is working on those people that are under the influence of darkness is got them irrational. And what's scary about that is that the people that are actually under the influence of truth aren't irrational. They're consistent, but we're watching the country lurching more and more and more into the bizarre. So for instance, you might ask, what can you give some data for this? This is not without data. We are data-driven all the time. And if I am not data-driven at any point, Mercedes' task is to apprehend me and challenge the supposition.
We might have missed one the other day, which we won't go into, but
I can defend myself on that one. It's just I won't for fear of creating scandalous conversations on the air. But I have something here. It was over here. Oh, here we go. Democrat mayors under fire as crime, violence plague Chicago, New York, Philadelphia. I could add San Francisco. These are all Democrat-run cities. They are all under fire. By the way, welcome those of you that are watching on Liftable TV. You could see all of the articles that I'm putting up. If you're on liftable.tv, you could go there /Lance. Do they go over there to see the ditto cam?
Liftable.tv /Lance.
Lance, yeah,
/Lance. Underground. They all work.
/underground or Lance.
Look, it's on the screen.
Because, thank you. My team is really awake at the switchback there today. But you could see this because if I'm talking about the poinsettias, what good is it if you're only on the podcast and you don't get the visual impact of me surrounded, literally festooned with a deciduous forest of red, as only Chelsea could do? And I won't give her last name because I was reprimanded last week for giving her identity out. So this is why I guess Rush had nicknames for everyone on the staff, so that
you will have to get a nickname for Chelsea. Rush had Cookie.
I might have to get a nickname for you.
Oh, yeah.
No, that won't work because they can see who you are. Democrat mayors are raising eyebrows with the responses to the rising crime plague that is happening all over. I've noticed these are Democrat-run cities. These are not Republican cities. The crime wave is outrageous. The U.S. murder rate rose 30% between 2019 and 2020, according to the FBI data, the largest annual increase on record. Chicago topping the list. I think there's something spiritual here because like Al Capone and the Valentine's Day massacre, and there was so much mob violence, literal mob violence there in Chicago. I don't think they really broke free from that. And it's the only place I remember when Donald Trump wanted to do a meeting and he had to escape Chicago because they had these activists on the platform waving guns and celebrating that they drove Trump's campaign from being able to meet with Republicans, and everybody celebrated and spiked the football. Lori Lightfoot, who is just a lightweight when it comes to being able to manage a city. How in the world these people get elected? That's amazing to me. It's like, you get what you pay for, and you pay a price for what you end up getting. So these people must be buying people off because they're getting their money's worth with her. So she's blaming the retailers. So when you see these mobs breaking in and they're going to a Gucci store and they're breaking in, that she's saying it's the retailer's fault because what they need to do is have better security. But by the way, I do agree with her. I think that if I had a business out there, I wouldn't be trusting the mayor to keep the city safe. I would have I would have armed security.
Yeah, but you would think the locked doors and the glass, and I mean, it's worked for years past, but now like the smash and grab redefinition of a flash mob is scary. I mean, I saw one the other day. I saw TikTok the other day where they busted into a Gucci store and they locked it down with people inside, and then the metal grates came down.
Oh, this is lovely.
Yeah.
Where did this happen?
It was one of these cities. I'd have to go find it
Oh,
for you.
well, TikTok. So
It's TikTok. I
we're
just saw
bringing
it
you
happen.
people vetted news. This is some people do Reuters, some people do API. We do TikTok. But I would love to see that. I think that should be the new trend. I've often thought, wouldn't it be great if you could have some kind of a way of locking them in? And that's
like lock the people who are stealing in?
yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, these were customers inside, and the mob was coming down the street, and they put the metal grates down because if they smash the glass, they could still
No,
get in.
man.
And
What
get
you
the
want to
Gucci.
do is you want to lock
You're
the
creating
looters.
a trap.
Yes.
You want a trap, is what you're saying.
Like the game Mousetrap that I grew up with years ago. And the thing comes down, or a net drops from the ceiling like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they're all trapped in the net.
Yes.
And the security's there hiding until the net drops.
Yes.
Then they come out with billy clubs and subdue them until they can be handcuffed and arrested.
This is getting very involved. The billy clubs are coming out.
Well, we don't
let's
want
just
guns. We
prosecute
don't
them.
want guns because Lord knows we don't want any shooting in Chicago.
Well, you know what else I saw? I saw another guy, because the real issue is they're not prosecuting minor theft, right? Like if it's under like $900, they're not prosecuting it, which is the real problem.
That's specifically California.
Well, I think it's other places too, though.
Are you guys that are out there watching us? You're fact checking. Go check. How many cities have the you're not going to prosecute you if it's under $900 thing? I think it's a California.
No, I really think it's definitely a New York thing, and
It
I
could
do
be
think
Portland
it's a
too.
Chicago
It could be
thing.
Portland too. But I want you to listen to this one. In Philadelphia, where police have reported 13% increase in homicides compared to 2020. This is just 13. This isn't even like 25 or 30% over the last 5 years. This is just 13%, like in the last year. The district attorney, these guys, like the Soros guys, we should just do like a baseball thing where we just have Soros DAs and the crime rates in their cities and the outrage of the week. This Larry Krasner sparked a backlash this week after he claimed the city doesn't have a crime problem. At least he didn't blame it on climate change. He says, we don't have a problem. Now listen to this. We don't have a crisis of lawlessness. We don't even have a crisis of crime. Sure, the murders are up. Sure, the crime's up. But that's not, don't make it what it isn't. It's just a number. But here's the point. I saw a great incident happening in Philadelphia, because I'm from Philadelphia, so I like to look at Philadelphia news. And it was a man and a partner of his had just committed a break-in burglary at one store. They were hitting like mini markets and little restaurants and stuff like that. They hit one, and one of the guys wasn't satisfied with what they took in because the cash register, the girl was flustered and couldn't open the cash register. They threw it on the floor, but it wouldn't break open. So they got mad. They split, and the one guy goes down to the next pizza place. It's called Bold Pizza. Okay. And he goes in, grabs the woman who's like, in her 60s. Yeah. And by the throat and is choking her because he wants cash. Her son happened to have been with her. I guess his 14-year-old son. Because some of these moms, they can't, they're only working minimum wage. And so they have the kids with them. Yeah. And we know this because we work with a lot of people that have this problem. Yeah. And her son knows where there is a gun under the counter. He pulls the gun out and saves his mother's life by shooting the robber who is choking his mom to death in the face.
This is like a Yellowstone. This is what happened in Yellowstone too. But go ahead. It's like the same plot where this young kid's got to save his mom and shoots the attacker. But go ahead. Tell me.
All right. So I don't know about Yellowstone.
I know.
I don't waste my time on TikTok.
There's a lot of people who watch it. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. If you're watching it, it's a great show.
Anyway, it's Kevin Costner. But go ahead.
Listen to what happened, please.
Know.
I'm trying to educate you on something.
I'm listening.
He shoots the guy, and the guy takes off. The police show up and follow the trail of blood all the way to the SEPTA bus station where the guy's bleeding, and they arrest him there and get him to the hospital.
Wow.
But the 14-year-old son, the police won't charge him because it met all the criteria. The gun was legal.
Yeah.
And he handled it in a specific instance where there was a verifiable threat to life.
Such trauma. I mean, for him to have to go through, you know what I mean? Like 14-year-old having to shoot somebody. It's so sad. Anyways, but I want to tell you one other thing. So let me finish a second ago. What I saw on the TikToks was the guy in the store in this mini mart raised all the prices for like M&Ms to $951 so that he can prosecute people who steal stuff, and you get the discount at the register. So you get that's what I thought was so cool. And
everything's up to over $900, but you get your discount at the register.
At the register for paying customers, so he can prosecute anybody who steals. I thought that was cool.
But do you have to hand over 900 people? It's not very convenient.
No, you get up to the front. There's like a coupon for like $950.
Oh, and get the coupon. Oh, I like that. You see, this is what I love about America, and this is the spirit in America that eventually is going to win. Because the reason why you can't be discouraged, you can't be overly discouraged, is because the worse it gets, the better the outcome. And I'll tell you why. It's when Egypt was under judgment that the plagues of Egypt made it such that Pharaoh wanted to get rid of the Jews. And what's going to happen is the misery index in the United States will be so high going into midterms and going to the next election cycle that the rational are going, the rational Democrats are actually bolting now and moving towards the right because they see the threat that is coming in this management. But when we come back, I'm not done yet. I want to give you some more of this, but we're going to come right back after this brief break. By the way, the break that I want to do, I realize we have to do this. Stay right there. I'm coming up to the microphone. I have 2 or 3 sets of Mike Lindell's slippers. The reason why I wanted to bring this up now is that the supply chain is causing some delays already for people. And it's so sad with Christmas, and it's so sad when, people are trying to give gifts to their loved ones and they're not there. But Mike right now, because he's manufacturing in the States, he doesn't have to worry about Pete Buttigieg's backup, at the with the cargoes. So here's the deal. These slippers actually are now on special sale, but these furry lined, imitation suede, thick-soled slippers, you can wear them inside, outside. I wear them in both office, in the home, and the back porch. I've now got slippers at every location, but it's Christmas. You can't lose on this one, my friend. You can buy the slippers for the whole family. Now, have you ever gotten any of his sheets, these Giza sheets he's talking about?
I haven't done the Giza sheets. I want the sheets. The pillow topper, though. That's what I'm thinking.
What is a pillow topper? I don't understand that.
Well, it's like a foamy, pillowy type of a cloud that you put on top of your mattress.
Another one of those like the slippers. It gives you that extra layer of lush.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I asked Larry for it, but I don't know if it made it on the list.
Well, you have to really make the hint strong with Larry.
Well, I send a list, I send it to him.
How many of you women send a list of what you want? Isn't that kind of losing something when you list, I want this, this, or this for my birthday or Christmas?
Listen, it's been 13 years as of December 6th.
Oh, you don't trust his judgment anymore?
And no, he's great at so many things. His love language is acts of service, not gift giving. So I learned early in our dating relationship that you kind of have to provide a list, which is fine. It works because I always get what I want. It's perfect.
Well, that's great. Who can argue with that logic? But what I want to tell you is go to mypillow.com/Lance or enter Lance, the promo code, because Mike told me he's going to give a special discount for my people.
You have to put the Lance promo code
But you have to put the Lance promo code to see
what
what the extra vigorous is, what you can get.
Yes.
But I'm saying the slippers are the catch pajamas, but I'm getting Annabelle. Can I tell you a secret? Nobody tell my wife. I'm getting Annabelle the bathrobes.
Lance, nobody wants bathrobes for Christmas.
What?
This is why you need a list.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
You don't think she's going to be excited about that?
I don't think she's going to want the bathrobes. I mean, I don't know. Annabelle, how long has it been? 35 years?
Ladies, write down in your comments if you're watching this on Facebook or if you're watching this on any place you can leave a comment. Tell me what you think I should get my wife for Christmas and tell me quickly.
Please
Because
send me
evidently
ideas.
the bathrobes are not going to be a hit. I can see
but
that now.
You also have a time constraint because the issue is like the mail time at this point. Like
What,
the
male
post office,
versus female?
No, the mail, like MAIL, is so
MAIL.
backed
Okay,
up
okay.
that it's like 10 days to get things places. So like you have to like either 3-day it or overnight
Give me
it.
ideas for my wife quickly. I need them. I'm going to read them today. Go to Lance Walnut. No, not Lance Walnut. Go to mypillow.com/Lance and remember the promo code Lance when you go in there. We're back. Let me get back to this. You know what? I think there'd be a lot less crime if people got a good night's sleep with Mike Lindell's pillow. And if the crimes were committed with these slippers on, I think people would go a little easier. I think they'd be a little less agitated. Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon also recently came under fire amid a surge in violent smash and grab robberies in his city. Critics blame Gascon's zero bail policies for releasing 14 suspects who were allegedly involved in 11. Get this. He's got 14 people involved with 11 mob smash and grab robberies last month. Caught, and hours after they're arrested, they're back on the street. And they're smashing and grabbing. And this knucklehead, this Soros genius, George Gascon, has got to go. I mean, this is when I'm talking about the harvest. I'm talking about the harvest of nations, and the harvest is right. You talk about these guys, they have a whole different grid in their brain. In their mind, the criminal is the victim, and the property owner is the criminal. And the prosecutor, evidently, is the high priest who is determining judgment on the business people in the community to pay their taxes. All right, so I'm fed up with that because people, you know what? The more information you get on this stuff, the more outrage you get, the more light you can do. You know what? You put the light on and the cockroaches run for cover. So you got to put the light on in the kitchen and the cockroaches run. The cockroaches, as Jackie Mason used to call it. I wanted to talk about the pro-America protesters who are demonstrating in front of Bill de Blasio's house. Fortunately, New York only has to deal with de Blasio till January because he's out of there. If there was ever a guy who a pot-smoking liberal mayor of a major city who did more screwball damage. How did he and Newsom pull this off? This is why we need a great awakening, because I think the general population is in these cities, in the cities. When we talk about Democrat-run cities, I think there's like a spiritual veil, a fog, a web over the minds of the masses. And of course, you've got the unions organized, you've got the precincts, you've got the criminal elements in the party that control the voting. But the people, the populist movement, will always break the back of a lawless minority. I don't care whether they're communists or what they are. So the people in New York are, strangely enough, they are protesting both BLM and MAGA. Can you imagine where the MAGA movement and the Black Lives Matter actually on the same page? They're protesting de Blasio. That's what I meant about Pharaoh. At some point, the devil makes you so miserable, you're all united against, the devil. That he's pushing that all New York City employees, including the New York Police Department, must be vaccinated against the coronavirus. Unfortunately for de Blasio, a New York Supreme Court judge suspended the vaccine mandates for city employees last week. And so he has to pump the brakes on forcing all the employees to get the shot. This is what the totalitarians are going to do. You're going to be forced to do everything. They just want you to get a chip in your head and obey. Those who choose to remain unvaccinated are going to be placed on unpaid leave. The mandate prompted citywide protests and demonstrations, including massive Freedom March on October 25th. That's when they shut down the Brooklyn Bridge, I think. But the thing is with this Omicron variant, because I looked at the Drudge Report. The Drudge Report, remember, makes a living off of traumatizing you and hating Trump.
All news organizations.
Yeah, but Matt Drudge has a particular virus working on him.
You think so?
He does. He's got one of the largest content aggregating sites, and once he went to the dark side, he went flipping loony. So I go there every now and then because a friend of mine who was a conservative said, if you want to see what's trending, go to Drudge because it still is trending. But it's sad to say, we need to get ready for the hysteria of the Omicron variant. The fact of the matter is the data shows that it is far weaker and less lethal than any of the Delta and other variants that have come out of COVID. But that doesn't mean that it isn't going to be used to spread panic by the manipulation of data saying it's 2 to 3 times as transferable, contagious, and that they're looking forward, almost like they got their faith out there, that it could always mutate and become even more deadly. But and it's all connected to the vaccine, even though, strangely enough, the Lancet, that's the Lancet. I always like the fact that there's a major medical journal called the Lancet.
Like if you had a daughter, you should have named her that. Well, you do have a daughter, but you named her Joy.
I did because nobody liked Lancina.
Lancet would be good. Lancina is a little strange.
Lancet. I don't know. Lancet. And then she comes out and pierces me because that's what the Lancet is, actually a device for piercing in the medical world. Long before the vast majority of Omicron cases were among the vaccinated, and before CDC Director Rochelle Walensky admitted in early October that the COVID-19 vaccine doesn't prevent transmission, public officials and MSM pundits and coffee shop doctors across the land were spouting insidious propaganda designed to shame people into taking the jab. And they would say that the pandemic is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And this is being called out now by the Lancet and the medical community. They say, look, we got enough problems with the vaccine without you guys lying and creating a panic attack with disinformation. People who are vaccinated have a lower risk of severe disease, but are still a relevant part of the spreading of the pandemic in whatever variation this one is. And here's what they're saying. This is Germany and the United States particularly are manipulating the party line in order to force people to get vaccinated by saying it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And their Lancet is calling out, this pristine medical journal is saying, stop it. I call on high officials and scientists to stop the inappropriate stigmatization of unvaccinated people, who include our patients, colleagues, and other fellow citizens, and to put extra effort into bringing society together. That's the word that's coming out now. So if you're hearing about the pandemic of the unvaccinated, it's a lie. This particular Omicron, I was looking at a wedding that had like a Mercedes and like 65 people in it, and it was weird. Like 2/3 of them all kind of caught the variant, and they were all vaccinated. That means it was all vaccinated people spreading it to vaccinated people.
Yeah. I mean, they got cases in Australia. You can't get in and out of Australia unless you're fully vaccinated. So when will the insanity stop? Like, the vaccine's not going to stop it. It's just
and I really think
nobody's died from it yet, from that variant, from
only
the Omicron.
One. There's been one, and they couldn't wait to find one.
Where was it?
So in UK.
Okay.
And probably it's like secondary conditions like diabetes and heart condition, and some
it's like they had one lung and a
that
failing heart already.
This is the problem, isn't it? That even when they find that one person, they're limited in what they tell you. So, for instance. You're not hearing this, and I guess, Jonathan, you aren't able to get my computer operating over there. Did you get that thing printed out yet? So
we'll have to get a camera for Jonathan.
There is a CNN. If you've been praying for God to deal with, this is the good news part of the program. I got good news for you. If you're praying for God to stay the hand of the enemy, remember, my theory of the case is that inflation, violence, these things, they're not going to go backwards until there's a change of leadership and a repentance, a different moral tone in the nation. I think there needs to be a shift in the people of God from level 7 to level 10. We've got to go white hot on the revival and the awakening that God wants, because it's an awakening of conscience. It's a conviction of right and wrong. And America's become, I'm sorry to say, we've become spoiled and indulged. And the church is not a firewall. The church is kind of like a nervous, codependent with government. We have got to become the resistance spiritually that puts a hindrance on the devil. And I think the pain is going to drive that up. But I think we're going to see the hand of God raising up leaders. I think we're going to see significant pushback on certain areas, particularly in media. I believe the media is one of the giants and the idols that's coming down. Look at CNN. Look at Governor Cuomo and his brother Chris Cuomo. Yeah. Both of them assaulted Trump mercilessly, misrepresented him, trashed him. And in Cuomo's case, where Trump was willing to give him, actually exceeded his expectations in giving him ventilators and sending a whole cruise ship down there as a backup hospital. And even Samaritan's Purse sent a whole city set up in tents. None of it was necessary. None of it was used. Cuomo simply, in his own ignorance, was sending people to the nursing homes where he could expose the most vulnerable to the most deadly. And that was his strategy. But Governor Cuomo came down on Trump. Chris Cuomo misrepresented every night. I'm telling you, CNN deserves to be judged for its complicity, like operating like the false prophets of Baal. And so Chris Cuomo now is out of a job. Their lead show with their lead anchor. As you know, Governor Cuomo, and I think I just read he has to return $5 million on his book deal that he had on his handling of Corona.
Really?
Because he's radioactive now. Wow. With the Me Too movement. But also Don Lemon is in the news with a lawsuit that is coming against him for improprieties that are allegations of inappropriate, advances on a guy that is suing him. And but this is the big one when you come back. In 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Well, it will be the next episode.
Oh, no. Well, then I got to get it out now.
Yeah, you better.
One of the lead producers who works at CNN has just been served notice that he is being taken to court for setting up a ring where he was going after like 9-year-old girls.
What?
And going to mothers and parents that would allow him to be able to have access to their daughters, to teach them to be fully submissive to whatever a man wants. And he had paid $3,000 to get a mother to bring her 9-year-old daughter to Vermont. And it's Bernie Sanders' state that is actually prosecuting him for. And he had a website set up where he was setting up conversations and chats because he believes that women ought to be subservient to men, and you got to teach them how to obey men and their sexual predatory interests at an early age. And there are parents willing to get paid in order to set it up. This is gross. This is scary. It's CNN's producer.
Crazy.
We'll be back again.
Oh, we're going to end on that note?
Well, no. I just want to make sure I could get it in there before my discipline is to end the program exactly in 30 minutes and demonstrate my emerging skills and excellence in broadcasting by landing the plane, even if it's not elegant. And so we cover CNN's pedophile issues, and we'll be back next week.
Alleged pedophile issues.
Alleged, all alleged.
Yeah.
And Newsweek even is covering the story. Newsweek.
But who jumped ship from Fox to join that dumpster fire of CNN?
Well, Chris Wallace.
I know.
Chris Wallace.
The dumpster fire's got some openings. All right, sounds good. Moving over there. I mean, clearly they have openings.
Well, it's okay. I'd rather have Chris Wallace over there because at least Chris Wallace, 20% of the time, will say something they won't say.
All right.
But he's... Let's face it, Chris, he was the first one that picked up on Donald Trump being a potential president. And they dumped on it. I watched it live. I feel like Forrest Gump sometimes. I'm in these moments where I see things that other people don't get to see, but I feel like I'm there at the right time. It was an interview with Donald Trump, and Chris Wallace sat back with his glasses on, kind of, nerdy conservative look that he's gotten. He goes, well, I might say that there's aspects of Donald Trump that I see as potentially a presidential person. are you saying? And they all freaked out on him. And it's like,
Wow.
are you trying to tell me that, this is like on Fox,
Yeah.
that you see potential with like Megyn Kelly?
Yeah.
You see, he goes, I'm just telling you. But from that interview that I just showed you, I see the potential that they could let's see what happens. I'm not saying I want him there.
Yeah.
I'm saying it could happen.
Yes.
Well,
That's the ding dong to end.
that is the ding dong.
I don't know if they can even hear it.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. We have Mercedes just ordered lunch, and it arrived evidently because they're ringing the bell outside our studio.
All right. Now let's land the plane.
All right. So, and this is really important because you're our cryptocurrency researcher.
Okay,
you're
yeah.
the financial currency researcher. This really bad news. I was listening to Bannon today on that it's more important to note that we've got like a 6.8% rise. Wholesale prices rose 9.6% from a year ago.
Scary.
And what we're looking at now is inflation hitting a desperate level where it's just going to continue going up. And then, of course, with Mitch McConnell helping the Democrats raise the debt ceiling and try to help them push through another $2 to $5 trillion worth of debt weight on working class Americans.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, it's just weird how we're self-sabotaging. We've got to get rid of these people.
Yeah.
This is the populist movement. Like I said, that the protests against de Blasio, I talked about a minute ago, outside of his house. There's protests in Vienna, Austria on the COVID restrictions. But really, it's going to be the economics that I think is going to be the ultimate pain point. Because what's happening now is that inflation is rising at such a rate that it's impacting the average American in a discernible way. They see it.
Yep.
And so Birch Gold is one of the first places that I started looking at because I'm saying, well, what's gold? $1,700 an ounce or something? And who in the world has money enough to put into that? But I think everyone needs to look at how it is that gold and silver and certain precious metals or commodities are a hedge. And the way this works is the dollar can fluctuate and it could totally lose its value. I think I heard that the dollar today is 60% less dollar than it was 10 years ago. And so you got a 60% devaluation in the same dollar, what its buying power is. And 10% of that happened under Biden just in the last year. So this is a scary trend. But as the dollar begins to float and lose its value, you start to look at, well, what can I put my dollars into that'll hold its value? That's the point. It's not going to be 60% less valuable. So gold has traditionally, and silver has been where people have put their money. And but understanding how these are places that you don't really put your money to make money, you put your money to protect money.
Well, that, and even more so, especially for your demographic, is the idea of
Meaning she's saying for older people, if you're wondering what she means by that.
Lance's demographic is 55 plus women. That's what it is. That's what the data says.
55 women.
It's not an opinion. It's what it is. But what I was going to say, which is really important, people need to listen to, is when you have investment accounts like your IRAs, your investment accounts, the cool thing that Birch has is it's an investment account backed by gold and silver. So that $300,000 that you might have in an investment account or $100,000 that you might have saved over the course of your life, those dollars, like you're saying, are losing value rapidly. And so what happens to your investments? What you can do is at Birch, you have a conversation with them. They'll open up an IRA that's backed by gold and silver, meaning that $120,000 or that $300,000, there's literal gold deposits in one of their reserves around the country that you've got $300,000 worth of gold, and but it's still in an IRA. It's still cash equivalent. So, anyways, just really,
I see how that works. You can get a 20-page report.
Yep.
Explaining this for free. They'll give you a 20-page report, which is very valuable. But you got to go to the Birch Gold. Do we have a place to send them for this?
Yeah, it's lancewallnow.com/Birch.
lancewallnow.com/Birch.
BIRCH.
And let me know if you did it. Send us a chat thread or message me at Lance Wallnow on Facebook or one of our social media accounts, or
Yep.
Mercedes Sparks over there on your Facebook account.
Sure.
Because we check those messages, and we're really thinking of putting together a guide for 2022.
Yeah.
Because when I was writing that book, well, and you helped write it too.
Yes, I did.
As a matter of fact. And so when we wrote the book,
If people only knew
Hey,
the
God.
labor of love that was.
If-
But go ahead.
that in the middle of these two chapters that were the two chapters of this entire book, the prophet Haggai said the time is coming when God is going to shake the nations of the earth. He's going to shake all things, economies, political, governments. We're in the period of extraordinary shaking. And there was one strange statement, but the silver and the gold is mine. God said, and I looked at that and I thought, wouldn't it be terrible if I'm sitting there writing prophetically, accurately about the trend of what's coming in the next 5 to 10 years and what we're up against? And in the middle of it, I'm quoting Haggai saying the silver and the gold is mine. And I never even had the wisdom to look into what silver and gold actually represents.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want you guys to contact lancewallnau.com/Birch, get your 20-page download report, and talk to them, and they'll explain to you what the plan is.
Yep.
And we're going to be coming back on our next podcast I'm going to open with something so interesting and positive. I'm seeing where God is judging the enemy and taking the wheels off of the chariots of Pharaoh. We'll be back again next podcast.